Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Albion Online. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about expeditions. For those of you who are kind of new to the game and have a taste for combat, and you want to delve a little bit more into that, this is really going to be your starting platform. Now, you can come in here and you can do your single player ones, the tier 3 and the tier 4. You also later on get access to group ones, but those are going to be something that we do on later episodes. On this one, we're going to be talking about the basics of expeditions and some of the things you might need to know before you go into one. First, if you click on it, you will see that this is the description that it gives you. These expeditions are suited for a single adventurer. Best of luck. And it says your reward upon completion will receive 1,000 silver. Now, you do get a daily bonus. You can see right there underneath it. Mine doesn't come out again for another 15 hours and 20 minutes, but if I did this as a daily bonus, I would get an additional 1,000 silver on top of the amount of money that you get off of each mob inside the zone. So I usually walk away with around 3,000 silver without the daily bonus, 4,000, 4,500 with the daily bonus, because the mobs tend to drop anywhere from about 16 all the way up to about 88 to 100 silver each mob that you kill, which is really, really nice. The other thing you need to kind of look at is the requirements. Average item power, and we're going to get to where you can see what your item power is. Also, your destiny board needs to be unlocked for the Journeyman Reaver. Now, if you click on this one, it will open it up for you and show you exactly how much experience you have in yours at the moment. You can see mine is maxed out at 1,000 out of 1,000. If you have not done any fighting, any skinning of animals, then you will have to go out there and do about 20-30 minutes of that. But you have to be T3 of your equipment before you can come in here, and by the time you're there, chances are you've already done this, so that's not too big of a deal. The other thing was the item power. Now, if you come into your inventory, you'll be able to see your equipment. If you click on one piece of your equipment, you will see at the very top it tells you what type it is. Adapt, Scholar, Sandals, because I've gone down the Scholar route, but it doesn't matter if you've gone down Cleric or Mage. The type of armor is not an issue, whether it's cloth or actual plate or leather. The quality does kind of play a little bit of role in that. Now, normal quality is just, as I said, normal. Then it goes up to good. It goes all the way to master crafted. And each step of the way, right underneath it, you will see item power. Now, normal quality, the item power is 700. This one is a little bit better because of the mastery bonus and the quality. So that is really, really nice. If you need more item power and you can't go to the next tier yet, this is a good way for you to do that. Now, just keep in mind that's going to cost you a lot more money, or it's going to require more skill in crafting if you want to make it yourself. So, yeah, 715 on this piece. You can look at some of the other pieces that you have. Before you go in, though, because you are going to be going into combat, one of the main things I would suggest you do is go back and look at the skills on your armor. Boots in general are one of the things that a lot of people will forget. When you're out harvesting, increase your maximum carrying load is a really, really nice thing to have on there. When you're in combat, increases your damage and heal power by 3.5% is a lot better for you to have. So yeah, just take that extra few seconds, get in there and make sure that all your spells are set up the way you want. Now, I've gone down the Adept or the Fire side of it. I've gone down DPS for the most part. And all of mine are geared towards single targets. If you're going to be going in there by yourself, which is what we're going to be doing in a few seconds, you're going to want to be able to do the max amount of damage to the target you're aiming at. But there are going to be some group mobs in there too. So if you want to go ahead and switch out a few of these into group areas, you can do that. You can also change these on the fly once you're in the zone. So let's go ahead and click on one of these portals. You can see it right there on the top. There's a lot of people there, so it's kind of hard to see, but these towns are very, very busy. So we're going to go ahead and click on the Tier 3 one-player mission and hit the start button. It will automatically load you into it. There's no waiting time whatsoever. If you get into the group ones later on, there is a little bit of a wait time. So it says, "Oh, welcome to Miro. Beyond this gate, you will find the heretics, vile traitors who have refused to bow to our king. Even worse, they've begun to execute ancient relics." Is that the task you want to stop before they discover anything too dangerous? Hurry now. I will keep the portal open for as long as I can. Sorry about that, guys. I had something jump on my leg there for a second. So he is going to stay there, and it's going to be fine. You don't really have to come back to this area. Now, later on, you will get to portal out, but it's going to be at the very end. Now, you'll see there's these little tiny rats. Almost every single one of these missions will have a very, very easy mob at the very beginning. Even as you go up higher and higher in tier, do not be fooled by the easiness of these mobs that kind of come in here and be like, oh, these missions are going to be super simple. I don't really have to worry about anything. No, that's not going to be the case. Now, you see, this is going to be one of our first higher level mobs. This is going to be an archer over here on the right-hand side. You can see him just standing there looking around. Before you go in and attack him, you might as well load up one of your big spells or one of your big damage hits and go ahead and start casting that. That way you don't have to waste that time in combat. Now, is this a really big deal for this guy? No, and it's going to be even less of a deal because my equipment is a little stronger than it needs to be here. So we're not going to do that on every fight, but it is a good thing for you to get in the habit of, because as you get higher and higher in level, that is going to be something you need to worry about. Now, some of these mobs are just straight and forward, kind of tank and spank. Your damage versus their damage. There's nothing that they're going to do special. Some of the other mobs, however, especially range guys or mages, archers, those types of creatures, they usually do have some type of other spell that you can use, that they're used against you. And if you're not careful, when they cast it on you, you need to jump out of the way. So we're going to let this guy kind of shoot at us, and there it goes right there. If we were still within that range, he would have hit us really, really hard. Can you survive that if you're playing a single player? Absolutely, especially if you do not mind a little bit of downtime in between these fights, because I don't have to pull just yet. I can stop, I can go into my breastplate, I can look at it and I can be like, okay, I do have a heal spell, a min spell that I can put on, and I can regenerate my own life as well as a little bit of mana if I'm kind of low on it. If you can dodge it, though, that's less downtime that you're going to have, and later on in groups, especially when you get into the higher tier ones, if you do not dodge, they will most likely kill you, because that stuff is really, really powerful. So good habits are going to serve you in the long run. This is the time to kind of ease your way into it, get that muscle memory going of just like, okay, if something appears on the screen that looks a little weird, I don't know what it is, I need to get out of the radius of it. It does get a little bit more complicated because players tend to get spells that can either hurt the enemy or help you out with buffs. And theirs looks a lot like the same. So I'm going to stay here, I'm going to get hit, and you can see just the amount of damage I get off of that. And I'm also leveling up in the skill. Just because I'm playing an easier mission does not mean I will not level my armor, level my weapons, get experience for the mobs, get renown, all that kind of stuff. So if you do later levels want to kind of come back and do an easy mission, maybe just nobody's on, there's not any groups available, you can come in here any time of day you want. Now there's going to be pools like this where you're just going to get 2 of them, and if you do have spells that will help you hit multiple targets, sometimes you can even get like firewalls that will cast, you know, in between them to keep them separate so that you only get one. This is the time, especially in the easy dungeons, to kind of experiment with that. So we're going to jump out of the way of that one. He will fire, and the cool thing about those, especially on the melee guys, is once they get into the habit of casting that particular skill, that ability, they can't really stop themselves from doing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my health just because we're doing a solo mission. Otherwise, normally it's just mana that I have a problem with. But yeah, once they cast that, if they're doing, you know, a forward slash sweeping motion, they're stuck to it and they can't undo it. So they are vulnerable once you jump out of the way to your easy attacks that you can just do from the side, and you can really wreck their face. So if you know it's coming, just kind of watch for it and take advantage of it. Now there's a couple of other ones out there, and we'll show them as we get a little deeper into it, that the melee characters have that can be kind of annoying. They have the ability to shield themselves from all damage for a certain amount of time. Doesn't really sound like a really bad thing, but they tend to space it out and do it at a perfect time, which is about 3 to 5 seconds into the battle. If you think about that, that's usually about the time that you've gotten comfortable, that you can see the target, and that you are casting a big nuke if you're, you know, a DPS range class. It really sucks for that to land, so just be aware of it and kind of space out your attacks to compensate. Now, you can see on this fight, there was a caster and then there was a healer behind them. Now, I took them both out again due to my level of armor and the amount of time that I played this game. That's not going to be as simple as you would think if you're coming in here for the very first time. I remember those healers pretty much keeping up with me to 1-to-1 ratio while I attacked the mob. However, my life wasn't going up. So his life wasn't going down, and my life was. And eventually, not only did I run out of life, but I would run out of mana too. So got to be very, very cautious. Now, you were able to pull these single if you wanted to. However, I went ahead and did a little bit more sloppy and kind of pulled both of them to show you that this game is not just run into rooms and just pull everything. You can watch the route that these mobs are taking and pull singles. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit when we get further in, but I kind of wanted to show you what not to do to see the effects and the trouble that you go through when that happens versus what happens when you take a little bit more time and pull them single. And at higher levels, again, that's going to be just absolutely necessity to do that. And you can see we got 100 silver out of that. So if you've been paying attention to the amount of money that we've been getting off of these mobs, it's quite a bit, not to mention the amount that you get just for completing the dungeon. So remember, guys, load up a big nuke. Look at the two mobs over here. You can't really see what they are with hovering your mouse over them, but if you look at the one over here on the left, you will see he has a staff in his hand, a little bit of green on top. That means he is a healer, and he has a book in his hand, kind of showing you that he's a caster to boot. So let's go ahead and throw this on him. I'm guessing he's a druid, to be honest, the way he looks, and the fact that he has healing spells. So he's labeled as a deranged hermit. Very, very easy to take down. They don't have a lot of hit points, and their armor is claws, so they don't take hits very well either. In my opinion, I've only played the fire as my weapon. I experimented a little bit, not too much with the other ones, the curse, and I kind of wanted to get into healing, but the fire seems to be really uber. I can out DPS pretty much anybody in all the groups I've ever been in. This is going to be a named fight. You can see he's over here all by himself. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky. He's going to have a lot more things involved with it. So we're going to attack it. I'm not going to try to burn him down immediately, although I would suggest if this is your first time coming in here and fighting him, you try your best to make sure that he dies very, very quickly. So let's load up a big nuke. It's the slowest spell that I have, and it does the most damage. So we're going to hit that on him. You're going to see he casts 2 healing totems, and these are going to heal him the whole time. He's also going to shoot out a flamethrower. You can see that where it showed you the radius. Now you can pull him out of the healing area, and then he will no longer receive help from those mobs or from those totems over there, or you can destroy them and they won't heal him either. And he doesn't cast them very often, so as long as the fight doesn't take, 5-6 minutes, you're not going to have to worry about him putting another set down. That is for this dungeon. Later on, again, kind of giving you little hints on what things are going to come. They're easing you into it. Some of these guys do cast more than one set of totems, and it can be very, very difficult to kind of get them out of it. So you really just have to burn them down at that point or use area effects. Now, this guy is going to be a melee. You can see that he has a giant mace and a shield. The cool thing about this guy is you can get him the first hit with your big nuke, and then he's going to throw a shield on. And once he throws that shield on, none of your damage is getting through. So let's go ahead and hit him. He's going to run up towards us. He's going to do the shield, and then he's going to run immediately straight into us and do his area effect, which will stun you. After that, you got a good amount of time to burn him down before he does another one, but he will do another one, and then you have to jump out of the way. If you have a spell down here that knocks them back, that's the time to use it. Just remember, you got to be close enough on that one, because if you're far enough away, your spell won't do anything to him, and you'll most likely get hit by his stun, because his stun's a little bit longer than yours, at least with the caster's version of it. Again, I haven't played the melee, so I have no idea how that one works out, but I have seen they got some pretty unique spells, and I can't wait to get into those. Again, healer right here. Try to pull these guys single. He does have a route that he takes. The other miners, they're kind of stuck in place, but this guy is more like a foreman. He's walking back and forth and just kind of checking the area out. You can see this zone is fairly simple. It's kind of leisurely run through, and they're not trying to overwhelm you, because this is the very first combat that you probably will run into, other than like animals, rats and those kind of things out there, spiders or foxes, whatever it is that you have in your set of zones that you started in, because if you start in like an area with ice, you're going to have different animals like rabbits, snow furs, than you will if you started in a forest area. Now, there's 3 mobs here, and again, I'm making this look somewhat simple. Do not be fooled. That kind of fight right there could be very, very rough. Now, one thing that you will see here on the floor is a little bag. It's kind of hard to see. There are rails on the way on top of the object, so it's kind of blurring it out a little bit. But there's 2 little bags right there, and you'll see the little cogs appear over them. If I click on it, it will show me what it is. Now, this is stuff that you are getting off of the mobs, and in single player, the loot's all yours. In multiplayer, when you're playing with a group of friends, you will see that appear a lot more often, and it will be someone's loot. It won't be your loot, it will be somebody's loot. Or it could be yours, but chances are it's going to be somebody else's. And it rotates. It goes through everybody in the group one by one, and you see that guy was calling down fire from the sky, which is a really nice spell. It stuns you a little bit. One thing that spell does more than anything else is if you're casting one of your spells or abilities down here on the bottom, it not only will interrupt that spell, but it will phase it out as if you actually cast it. So now you have to wait for the recast time on that before you can use it again, and you didn't get the effect of it. So I'm going to get this novice blade. There is a black market broker, I'm told. I've read online on their webpage that there is a black market broker that you can sell items to, and he will use those items that, you know, players have made and put them into dungeon mobs and bosses and just random creatures, so that players can get items like they would in normal games, but still have the community of crafters feel like they're you know, getting money for their stuff, because everything in this game is crafted by other players. There's nothing generated by the computer just for random mob loot. So that's their way of kind of putting random mob loot in without taking away from the crafters. And I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't know who came up with that, but it's very unique. I haven't really seen that in any other game that I've ever played. And I haven't quite seen it used to the full effect just yet, because the game just got launched for its, you know, complete and total. You know, it had a beta opening, but this is the full launch version of it. We gotta jump out of the way of those. Those are very, very rough. Now, just because the line is gone doesn't mean the arrow doesn't take a little bit of time to get to its target. So be cautious, because if there's other players on the map and they're running away from that, they could drag it over where you're at, and then the line disappears and you get hit with the arrow. Now, if you look at this one, this is a prime example of waiting for the best opportune time to pull. If we pulled right now, we would get all 3 of those guys. We'd get a healer in the top left corner, we get a miner right there, and we'd get a DPS class. I believe he's just like I am, a fire or pyro character. You can see the little book in his hand, but he will walk away. And once he walks far enough away, we can come in and we can take out the healer first, and then we can take out the miner. Now, when you're in groups, my suggestion is to always assist the tank. Assist the tank because he's the one who has to hold the aggro. A lot of tanks tend to attack the DPS first and then attack the melee characters. Melee characters tend to stun and knock you back and just kind of interfere overall with characters or your group. But they don't tend to do a ton of damage, not like the DPS. It's basically what they are designed for. Damage per second is what DPS stands for. So those are the ones you want to kind of burn down first and then go to the big targets. The other reason behind that is tanks tend to have a lot more hit points than the DPS classes, so they're easier to burn down than so you can pull these guys back. And most of the time they will come with you. If they're casters, they may be casting something and it will take a few seconds for that to happen. When we click on this guy, you will be able to see his health. Remember, he does have that shield, so don't immediately cast another one, otherwise you'll be wasting it. So we'll go ahead and put our burning effect on, back up, let him do his little routine. They are, you know, very predictable right now, but just because they have those abilities later on doesn't mean they're going to use them as predictable as they are now. Like, they're gonna kind of change it up. They may use one in one fight and you're like, why didn't they use their big nuke or their big attack? It's because they're trying to throw you off. They're not going to use it every time. And sometimes they're using it a lot more than you would normally think they're able to use it. But they don't cheat as far as I've seen. It's just they're kind of tricky with the timing, and they get you when you're not paying attention. So make sure you're kind of aware of where things are. Now, these guys are fairly easy to pull. You kind of have to just be aware of that guy up there on the top. He is the main guy for the dungeon. Those are the guy you're going to have to take out. You can run him back if you want. You can run all these guys away from him and get ready for that fight. Be sure that everything's kind of clear before you do, though. You don't really want ads when you're taking him, especially for the first time. You're going to be, pretty overwhelmed. That guy spanked me a few times, killed me a number of them, and it's a long run back. When you die, a little bit of your money falls on the floor. I think it's like 100, 150 silver falls on the floor, and you start all the way back at the beginning of this dungeon and have to run back over here. Now, all the mobs are dead, so it only takes a little bit of time for that to happen. So let's go ahead and heal up to full and get ready, and we're going to go ahead and use our big nuke, but his aggro range is so big that the moment we get within range to cast this, he'll have already seen us. So we'll go ahead and use it. You'll see, yeah, he's running right towards us. He's not going to take nothing. Ah, there we go. So we got the hit on him, but he did pull us in. So let's get out of the way of that. That attack right there, if you do not dodge, it will just wreck your face. Do not be in there. Also, you don't really want to be too close to him either. He does have a short-ranged attack that is very, very deadly. So let's move out of the side. Let's hit him with our big attack again. And it's just this again and again. You gotta, what's that from Dodgeball? The duck, dodge, dip, duck, and dodge. Dodge was in there twice. But yeah, this is really all... Oh, come on, get out of the way. And no running away straight out. Run sideways. You're not going to like the effect if you run straight out. So he went down. Again, made that look somewhat easy, but it can be a lot harder. So we got a little bit of money off of him. He didn't drop any items, unfortunately, but we did kind of level up in some of our skill points, which is always nice. And if you wait long enough, you'll see that should put an end to these studies. Looks like we're up to the challenge after all. Here's your reward. Now let us leave the rickety mine before it collapses, and we get 1,000 silver for completing it. But we actually ended up getting more because you take into account all the money that those creatures drop. Now I have 113,625 silver because I've been doing these missions quite a bit, and I've done some of the higher level ones, and we're going to get into some of those on the next episode. We're going to do the tier 4 single player mission if you guys want to see that and see how the mobs have gotten harder on that one. And then we're going to delve into some of the group ones, and the group ones is really when it starts coming alive and just absolutely fantastic. Again, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I'm AC Gamer, and I will definitely catch you guys next time. Hey guys, and welcome to the disembodied voice of AC Gamer. We are definitely going to be doing a lot more series in the future, but here are a few of them that you guys might find interesting. Of course, you're more than welcome to check them out. I would love to hear your comments. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe. It's definitely the indicator that I use to tell if you guys want to see more videos like that, of that particular game style, of that series in the long run. So when you guys leave comments down, it helps me decide whether we should keep doing it, as well as whether you want to see games like that in the future. And here are a few of them right here. I kind of picked out a few of different genres. We will be doing spotlights for other YouTubers in the future, so if you want to get a little shout out, definitely let me know. If you group with me, chances are you will get a shout out in here eventually. But for now, these are just 4 series that I have that I feel like could use a little bit more attention, and that you guys might actually enjoy as well. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we will definitely catch you all next time.